see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous line o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the Does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Grace and peace, you guys. Welcome back to Unshakable with April Chapman, where we discuss all things social, cultural, political, and theological from a biblical perspective. Happy New Year's Eve, dear ones, whether you are watching us on Rumble or YouTube or Facebook or X. We welcome you to tonight's live stream. It is the end of the year. God has been incredibly gracious to us. But there are a whole lot of things that we need to talk about tonight. As you can see from the thumbnail, we're going to be discussing leftist fraud and a whole lot of it. You guys, I have already covered the meat and potatoes of this story, but more information is coming out. The leftist media is playing past interference for all of this leftist fraud. We see a few pro-wokety woke blackety blacks also trying to provide cover for this fraud, which is incredibly shameful. And I kind of want to talk about it. I've got several clips that I want to talk about and go over tonight. And I'm to the point, like, do we need a stop the steal rally? Like, this time, instead of us protesting and talking about stealing elections, these fools and jokers are out here stealing our money. And I am feeling some sort of kind of way about it. I am an American patriot. And you guys, this country was founded in a revolutionary manner because, listen, there was some brave white boys that had to tell King George, listen, you are not our sovereign. Okay, you ain't running things over here, and we're tired of you trying to tax us and control us and take advantage of us. We will fight you for our freedom before we lay down and die and be your slave. And the founding of this country it came with that kind of bravado. And I'm just trying to understand, where is that vigor? Where are the people such as YouTuber Nick Shirley, who's like, wait a minute, hold up now. There's something strange going on. Something is stinking in Denmark, and we deserve answers. And what are we seeing happen? We are seeing the leftist media try to gaslight us to make us think that we are crazy, as if so much of this fraud hasn't been going on for so long that now they can't even hide it anymore. So we're going to talk about it tonight. I want to welcome everyone to the live stream. I'm wearing some bright red, y'all. I've been sitting on this pantsuit for a minute. And I said, you know what? It is New Year's Eve. I'm feeling festive. I'm a little pissed off. I am, but we're gonna celebrate. I'm not gonna keep y'all here till midnight. I am not trying to bring in the new year with y'all. I got a glass of some red wine waiting for me, a little bit of sushi, and everybody is still awake here at the Chapman house. But I did want to go live, and I absolutely want to talk about this because this is breaking news, and it deserves our attention. So the first thing I need to do, let me just acknowledge. I want to acknowledge this super chat from Ms. Shayla Moon. Thank you so much for supporting the show tonight. She says, Happy New Year to all. May the great I am bless every one of you and this country. I agree. God bless all of us, and absolutely God bless America. Thank you, Ms. Shayla, for your contribution tonight. And so the first thing I want to do, I follow several YouTubers who, for example, shout out to Black Conservative Perspective. If you are not familiar with his platform, he is probably the hardest working man in YouTube, and I am incredibly grateful for his platform because it's no frills. He just got a little basic white background, but so many of us rely on him to report the news in a very balanced and forthright way. Sometimes he's a little funny and a little entertaining, but I can't stomach watching CNN for any length of time. And so I kind of do rely on Greg over there at Black Conservative Perspective to give us the cliff notes of what the brain dead rejects over on CNN are talking about. So, for example, you have Allie Phillips' show, who I don't even understand why this show exists. And the only redeeming quality of that show is the fact that they have Scott Jennings. Because if Scott leaves, nobody is going to watch this show. And it's interesting because Abby, I'm sorry, positions herself as if she's a moderator, but she really is just a leftist, and she's always taking up for Democrats. She is not moderating a panel of diverse ideas at all. Okay, she provides commentary, which a moderator isn't really supposed to do that. They're supposed to moderate, but she's absolutely a flaming leftist. And as articulate and as cute as she is, she's incredibly stupid. And it bothers me that the left will always pick amongst those who share my ethnic image. They never want to bring on intelligent individuals who actually want to debate ideas. They'd rather pay, because she is Black, they would rather pay her to run past interference for the Democrat Party, as opposed to saying, let's just get someone with some journalistic integrity who's actually going to moderate this panel so that it is fair and balanced. But praise be to God, Scott Jennings does his thing. He comes on there and he be slapping up on all of these leftists all by himself. And I remember this summer, I met Scott Jennings, and we were at the Student Action Summit in Tampa. And I told him, I said, listen, don't let these these orangutans, don't let them punk you. They're going to try to overtalk you. They're going to try to just be loud and wrong. And you need to assert yourself and let them know that they can't weaponize their race against you. And I think Scott has been taking my advice, because he got a little bit more aggressive shortly after he and I exchanged some words. Sorry, you guys, I need to put my phone on silent. So, what we're going to do now, before I actually show you this exchange from CNN, I need to give a little context. So, when stupid speaks, you guys do realize we're not obligated to listen, but sometimes we are obligated to respond. So, today, unfortunately, we're going to respond to what we're going to see on CNN. Like, we, the people, us, American patriots, we're going to respond. And perhaps there's one in particular, one individual that I actually want to respond to. And I actually want to remind. So, in the CNN clip that I'm going to show you, you have this defunct former MSNBC host, Tiffany Cross. She is on here, and I was talking to a friend of mine earlier today. He was like, to be honest, I couldn't listen for more than 5 seconds. I said, okay, well, I'll do it for us. Okay, so today I saw Tiffany Cross on she went on like a brain dead rant defending the fraud up in Minnesota at the hands of the Somalian community. And she attempts to gaslight the viewers. Y'all, watching this chick open her mouth and defend fraud, it was like watching propaganda like have a seizure on live television. She was like tweaking and everything. She was tweaking. And this is why I say Black female liberals and white female liberals are the enemy of this country. They have absolutely brought us down to the pit. I am sick. I'm sick of both of those groups. I really am. This is not some sort of confusion. What YouTuber Nick Shirley has uncovered is not him being ignorant or trying to confuse the public. But what Tiffany Cross did on CNN was absolutely intentional deception. The whole Minnesota daycare fraud scandal, y'all, it has exposed something far bigger than just stolen money. What I've noticed is that it's exposing how the left protects corruption. I mean, at all costs. They protect it with their dear lives. And then how the media will flat out lie to you, and how they'll weaponize race in order to silence any sort of accountability. That's when I realized, I said, this race thing is why they're always talking about it, because they use it as a force field. It's like a shield to protect them and shield them from accountability. And so now that a private citizen, because that's who Nick Shirley is, he's a private citizen, he has dared to do the job that journalists refused to do. And now the entire liberal media machine, they are panicking. So we're going to break down Tiffany Cross's lies. I'm going to show them to you. We're going to expose the media's coordinated cover-up attempt. And we're going to explain why the sudden group of kids that just started showing up all of a sudden, it proves that this is a scam. I don't know how many of you guys have been following this story, but I'm going to bring you up to speed. We're also going to show exactly why Democrats, they don't want this story investigated. So let me share my screen, and I want you guys to take a look at this clip.
So he goes to the facilities. Some of them had already been closed for some time. Minnesota officials say that each of the facilities that he visited had been visited at least once in the last 6 months, and so far they found no evidence of fraud. So shouldn't he have to provide actual evidence of fraud before just walking up to a building and saying fraud is happening here?
Who is he? Like, who gave this guy license to go around and say, I couldn't get into daycare centers, the doors were locked? Like, nobody should be able to walk into a daycare center because the doors are locked. These random vigilante justice, something that people in this country know a lot about, these random vigilante justice seekers who ordain themselves like some sort of law enforcement expert, like he's a random YouTuber.
Well,
and I just find it laughable that the party of the self-proclaimed pro-life people are celebrating cutting off funding to children. The white evangelical.
I wanted to stop her. Notice the indignation in her voice. Leftists honestly do not believe that we, the people, are stronger than they, the government. She's enraged at the thought that a private American citizen who pays taxes has the nerve to question and hold a business accountable that is the recipient of government funds. Her thing is like, well, who does he think he is? He's an American citizen and he pays taxes. And that's our money. And any one of us have the right at any given time to walk up to any business and inquire about the very things that they say they do business with. If you claim to be a daycare center, since when do we need to say, well, you can't just walk up to a daycare center and inquire about their business operation? You don't have to be some sort of vigilante to do that. The reason why there was probable cause why he went there, and he didn't even go is they're trying to make it seem like this was some sort of sting operation, right? That's what they want you. They want you to think that Nick Shirley and his accomplice was doing a sting operation. This really wasn't a Project Veritas situation. There was no malice. They weren't trying to hide. They came there and asked very specific questions. There was no hidden cameras. There was no decoy. Like, if I would have did it, I would have brought Lil Joey. But you should have known that there was something rotten behind those doors. The moment he's like, okay, well, I could get application? Can I inquire about how to enroll Joey here? And immediately the people on the other side of the door became defensive. And here she is having the nerve to question, who does he think he is? He's telling you exactly who he is. The problem is you think you have the right to gatekeep what the American people are saying. We're sick and tired of you taking advantage of us. We're sick and tired specifically of leftists, Democrats doing it. Now, we know the Democrat Party pays her very well to run past interference for them. But we're tired of this. This is what super guilty past interference looks like. I'm going to let her finish, but notice how she never addresses the fraud. You're just going to get the smoke screen. That's what you're going to get.
Local crowd who purports to uphold these Christian values are celebrating targeting communities because of their ethnicity.
No. Okay. I got to calm down. Y'all see I had to put the fan on because now I'm starting to sweat. Here's her storyline, that this community is being targeted because of their ethnicity. Let me ask you a question. Does anybody ever question when there is suspected mafia activity, when people start looking out and looking for Italians, does anybody say, oh, we're targeting them? We have reason to believe that there's some organized crime going over there and we're targeting them because they're Italian? Or are we saying we're targeting them because they're known to be in the mafia? Like, that's the tell. There are no black people in the mafia. There are no Asians in the mafia. It's no different if you're looking for an MS-13 gang member. Are you going to look for Taquayshawn or you going to look for Julio? Like, who are we fooling here? Are we going to stop being stupid? Or are we going to actually deal in reality? The reality is there is a racial component to a lot of this investigative work. But we're not targeting them just because they're Somalian. They're being targeted is because there's a whole lot of evidence that these front daycare centers and autism centers and healthcare centers are a shield for fraudulent activity. So if that's the case, and we know this, we're not saying that every Somalian small business owner is involved in fraud. But if there's a pattern here, in the left, isn't it the left that's always obsessed with RICO, right? Racketeering, organized crime. If that's the case, police know what they're looking for. If they're looking for Asian gangs, they're not going to be stopping black boys with dreads. No different if you know that there's some Crips or some Bloods, you're not going to be looking for Brad or Chad. Her bringing up the ethnicity part is just a smokescreen. Do not fall for it. And like I said in my video the other day, I need white people to empower themselves enough and release the need to care about what people say about you and try to place this burden of racism on you. You're darn skippy. They're being profiled. How about I'll say it? I'm profiling the Somalian small business owners with these daycares with sketchy signs and no children. I'm profiling them. So call me a racist now, Mrs. Cross. I'm sorry. Did I say Mrs. Cross? Ms. Cross.
And cutting off care to children. It's utterly ridiculous. And I have to say,
where are the kids? Who's cutting off care to children? The whole point of the expose was to prove where are the kids? Ain't nobody seen the kids. But do you see how they try to take your Christian virtue? The fact that they know that Christians are pro-life and that we advocate for children, the unborn ones and the ones this side of heaven. The evilness of this woman to say they all want to talk about their Christian values and they want to cut off aid to children. Heifer, they ain't no kids. That's the problem. There are no children at these centers. And we know there were no children at these centers because the moment they got exposed, all of a sudden, children started showing up. And there's already evidence that several years ago, there would be parents who would show up with some kids, check them into the daycare, and then check them right out within minutes. This woman wants you to believe that all of the investigative work and the attention that's being placed on Minnesota is about race. I'm telling you, they are hiding something. They are as guilty as sin. Oh my goodness, got me breaking out in hives, got me itching right now. I'm so hot. I hate when they use, or no, let me not say that. I despise these black liberals who allow themselves to be used. Because can't nobody use you like this unless you sign up for it willingly. She does not care that all of this money could be better used and could be serving actual communities that need it. But she would rather provide a cover and a shield for fraud and criminal activity. Because at the end of the day, all of these pro-wokity-woke blackity-blacks are addicted to the D. They are not pro-black. They are pro-Democrat. It is vote blue and support Democrats no matter what. Somebody could be assaulting her mama, and if they are Democrat, she will figure out a way to make an excuse for them. Because this doesn't make any sense. Either it's wrong and fraud is always wrong, or it's never wrong. Or is it only never wrong when it's Democrats who are doing it?
Only a deplorable human being cannot decisively say it is wrong to target this community. We all heard what Donald Trump said from the White House. To pretend that this is some sort of opinion versus this opinion, no, we hear this right now. And so we have to call these things out with outrage, with righteous indignation that this type of thing, one day it's the Somali community, the next day it's another community. What is hard about saying this is awful? What is
awful about this? Is there fraud? Is there fraud? Notice how she's never going to engage. She asked, the first thing she asked is, who is this guy? Right? Who is this guy? And she's only interested in who he is because it's like, well, how they found out? What she's providing right here is not commentary. This, like I said, it is super guilty past interference. Notice what she never addresses: the missing money. She doesn't talk about the previous indictments, the convictions, and the reason why the whistleblowers or all of the investigations that got shut down. She never mentions that. Instead, she's like, who is this guy? And she's asking, who gave you permission to expose what we were hiding? That's essentially what she's saying. These people are just evil. And I am doing my best to stay calm, but I can't because she's insufferable. I can't stand the melanated cultural Marxists because this is what they do, and they are destroying this country. Here's the problem for Tiffany. Every major scandal in American history was exposed by either a private journalist or a private citizen or a whistleblower, not by the same institutions who are benefiting from the corruption. So, of course, the public, we would rather see this be uncovered and exposed by a private citizen because we don't even trust the mainstream media. We can't trust these lefticals to expose corruption when they're the ones benefiting from the corruption. Let me tell you something. Y'all, you should notice it is not a coincidence that Tim Walz was tapped on the shoulder by Heels Up Harris to be her VP. If there's evidence to prove otherwise, I'll retract. But I'm convinced, as a matter of opinion, that Kamala Harris picked Tim Walz because he was well-versed in how to funnel a whole lot of money, this fraudulent money, into that came from this particular voting block into the coffers of the Democrat Party. I mean, it's not like Tim was the most articulate and well-liked option. No. This man has a history of running a state that had this much fraud going on. That is not a coincidence. As a matter of fact, I was in my Discord group and I heard right before this, the Harris campaign raised $36 million in 24 hours after announcing Walz as the running mate. You think that came from little small dollar donations from like, yes, we just love Timmy so much. He's a good pick. That ain't what happened. I don't buy it. The Somalians vote Democrat. That Tim Walz knew. The AG knew. Every leftist Democrat, top to bottom, they know where this money was coming from. So the whole time she's going off here, she's not making an argument about evidence. No, she is making an argument about authority. And in her mind, you, the citizen, who these politicians are supposed to be held, we're supposed to hold them accountable. She's basically saying you don't have the authority to uncover when we stealing your money. And Democrats believe that only their regime, is allowed to investigate itself. Sorry, that is not how democracy works. Aren't y'all always the ones talking about democracy, even though this is a constitutional republic? They are the authoritarians. I told y'all. Democrats are masters looking for slaves, and Democrat voters are slaves looking for masters. So we need to just deal with the most blatant claim. These morons keep asserting that there is no evidence of fraud. Well, that's a flat out lie. She's like, there's no evidence of fraud. So I'm like, so explain to me, you rocket scientist, you, how come no one has ever seen any kids coming out of any of these facilities? And then all of a sudden, the day that the viral video gets attention and attention is placed on these places, kids just magically start showing up. These people really think that the American public is stupid. Now, I know that she is stupid, but they think that we are stupid. As if we don't have two eyes to see what's going on. The whole community is in on this scheme, and I'm convinced it's not just in their little clan and in their tribe. This scheme has major players all involved from the governor on down, and it's not just in this state. There's evidence that this is happening in Boston. There's evidence that this is happening in Ohio. There's evidence that this is happening in Washington. There's evidence that this is happening all over the daggone country. This is why the thought of Doge had these people crashing out. Everybody's scrambling. Everybody is scrambling. And the sad part about it is, sadly, these Somalians ain't really doing a good job with the scrambling game, trying to give the appearance of a legit operation. None of this would be a thing if at the state regulatory level, they were doing their job and making sure that all of these places were compliant and legit daycare centers to begin with. But I think what they did, they hid behind the fact that we are a nation of immigrants. The Somalians aren't taking all of this money for themselves. Everybody's getting a little cut. Oh, they're definitely enriching themselves and probably sending money over back to Somalia and is getting into the hands of terrorists. But Democrats don't care. They're just like, just give a little something for us, and we'll make sure that we let you win some elections. You'll have a little bit of power. You'll have your own little enclave right here in this own community, and you can run things like it's little Somalia. So the claim that there is no fraud is just, it's provably false. This is going back years. There have been dozens of indictments, over 50 convictions. You have federal prosecutors actively involved. DHS and DOJ has publicly confirmed these investigations. And now there are former federal investigators who have gone on record to say that the task force that was given the responsibility to investigate this were dismantled. How'd that happen? Why did that happen? Warrants that were served? What happened? Evidence was seized, and then just out the blue, cases were quietly shut down by the state. That is not no evidence. That's called, there are some political power players that are interfering because they don't want this to be discovered. And Tiffany knows this. Here's this other clip. Let's see. I'm going to let this one finish. And then I have this other clip from News Nation that I want to show you guys.
Hard about saying we should all care about children.
And it's not just racist and xenophobic, it's actually dangerous, because what Donald Trump is doing in targeting this community, it's putting American citizens in danger.
How?
Because it is putting a target on their back.
How is this putting American citizens in danger? I told you these white liberals get on my nerves. It's always them. They got to come in and Captain Save. Listen. Do not be deceived. They are bringing up the ethnicity of these Somalians because it is a smokescreen to hide the actual deeds of darkness. That's what they're doing. The target is supposed to be on their backs because there's evidence that fraud is taking place.
There's something else that I think is really disturbing, to your point about who this YouTuber is, and that all of a sudden, because he made this video that has gone viral, now DHS and FBI are putting resources into this community all of a sudden.
No, that's not true. They have been trying to get the state to intervene for years, going all the way back to 2015. What happened was, until Nick Shirley said something about it, is when they're like, wait a minute, now the feds are like, wait, look at here, we need to get involved. Because if you're expecting the state to investigate this, we just told you the state is the one that shut the investigations down. They're the ones where everything kind of just disappeared into the night. That's why the feds are involved. And do you think Abby Phillips is going to challenge anything that these two dodo brains just said? No, she's going to agree. She's going to agree. Notice how her, just like Tiffany, never talks about, well, what happened with the money? Because it sure ain't no kids here. Notice how she never says that the money didn't disappear. She doesn't say that.
I mean, because they actually had already. Well, that's the thing. I mean, those videos that we were showing, those are performative.
Like
See, this is to cast doubt. Well, you know, those videos that you were seeing, that's just performative. Just performative. Was it? Because, I mean, the buildings look pretty empty to me. So you think they hired Somalian actors on the inside to be like, go away, not today. No. Don't speak no English. Was that all performative too? The most disingenuous news media. I don't know. Is she I refuse to call this woman a journalist. I absolutely refuse. No.
Just found this out.
They're walking into a deli and asking questions and then saying, have a nice day. That's not how you investigate fraud.
Correct.
Actually, to the credit of DOJ, they have been investigating fraud. They have been prosecuting people.
Ooh, Father help Jesus. Okay. Here's this News Nation clip that I want you guys to see.
Live pictures now, Capitol Hill. The House Oversight Committee has now announced it will hold a hearing next week, Wednesday, on these Minnesota fraud allegations. 3 witnesses will testify, all of them Minnesota state representatives. A second hearing will take place next month involving Governor Tim Walz. President Trump continuing to attack him today, calling him crooked in a new post on Truth Social. And this just in another post from the president saying, quote, much of the Minnesota fraud, up to 90%, is caused by people that came into the country illegally from Somalia. Congresswoman Omar, an ungrateful loser who only complains and never contributes, is one of the many scammers. Lowlifes like this can only be a liability to our country's greatness. Send them back from where they came, Somalia, perhaps, and worst, and most corrupt country on earth. This morning, the governor, Tim Walz, firing back in his...
Hold on. I'm sorry. Y'all, I got to engage with Donald Trump. So I told y'all he's that ghetto uncle that don't give a darn. He's just going to say it. And he is not even thinking about any sort of presidential, messaging. He's like, I'm the dude from Queens. She's a loser and she a scammer. She needs to go back to Somalia. That's basically what he just said. Hold on, let me get to this super chat. Cooler King, shout out to you, says, if you want to see the future, then go to England. Yep, you are absolutely right. That whole the nation is decimated because of thou shalt be nice, and let's just open up our borders to any and everyone. I don't think they'll ever get their country back. But he's right. All of this corruption will push us to digital ID. And the sad part, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. This corruption is so pervasive that I think we are looking at probably the largest fraudulent corruption scandal of the century. I really do believe that. I do. Governor Tim Walz over here, Tampon Tim, is like, while Minnesota has been combating fraud, really? Where? I mean, if you count, a few arrests a couple of years ago, they did just enough so they can say, see, we're doing something. See, look at us. Look at us being over here do-gooders. We did something. What about the rest? The millions and millions of dollars. Like, my question is, how do they account for $36 million being infused and injected into the Kamala Harris Waltz campaign within 24 hours of him being tapped as the guy? She blew through all that money, but the question is, where did it all come from? So, of course, he's going to say, the president has been letting fraudsters out of jail. We ain't talking about that right now. Right now, we're talking about your state. Trump's using an issue. He doesn't give I mean, I would say it, but y'all so darn sensitive. I just won't. About an excuse to hurt working Minnesotans. Well, here's the problem with that statement, Tim. The vast majority of your Somalian community, they don't have W-2 employment. They're all on welfare. You're taking care of all of them. Now, I didn't say they was broke. I said they didn't have W-2 employment, meaning they're getting money and they're able to take care and provide for themselves some way, but it's not through legitimate means. That's another aspect of this fraud that nobody's talking about. How is it? The reason they none of them report income, right? So that they can qualify for state aid, whether that's the EBT or the TANF, right? The little cash benefit, the Section 8. So we are feeding these people and providing housing for them, and that still isn't enough. Now they got these front businesses that are getting government money, right, funneled to them, and then somehow all of that money is making its way back to the Democrat Party. I told you, everybody's hands is in this. I absolutely do believe that.
His own post on X saying, quote, while Minnesota has been combating fraud, the president has been letting fraudsters out of jail, adding that Trump is using this issue as an excuse to hurt working Minnesotans. Well, there's a lot of back and forth right now. Republican Minnesota State Representative Dave Baker is with us. I mean, it's getting uglier and uglier, but I don't want the allegations of fraud to get lost in the mix of some of this political rhetoric. Joe Thompson, the assistant U.S. attorney for Minnesota, says it's possible half or more of the $18 billion billed to 14 programs under the state's Department of Human Services since 2018 is fraudulent. I mean, sit on that for a second. How do you wrap your mind around that accusation?
Marty, thanks for having me. This fraud avalanche in Minnesota is so overwhelming all of us right now that are sitting in as elected officials here in Minnesota. What started with daycare centers a couple years ago with the Feeding Our Future on top of that, now we've got autism. This is an avalanche that just won't stop coming to us. At a time when we should be celebrating the World Junior Hockey Tournaments in Minnesota, we have the national spotlight right now on fraud at a level that no one has ever seen before. And this is all about leadership, in my opinion, Marty. And this is where, again, I'm grateful the national attention is here. I'm grateful the feds are stepping in and helping us get this figured out. Because if he's been working on this, if Governor Walz has been working on this for years, I have not seen any evidence that it's doing any good from what he's telling us.
Because he ain't working on nothing. He's just buying time and placing just enough attention, but it's really designed to look the other way. This gentleman just said that over half of the $18 billion in funding, over half of it is fraudulent. While our children are unable to afford homes, live on their own, educational costs have skyrocketed, all of this Democrat spending, we're trying to rein in the budget, decrease spending, generate revenue outside of taxpayer revenue. And all these jokers want to do is spend more because it's not their money. They think it's just a perpetual, an endless pot of money at the end of the political rainbow. This is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Is an important component of all of this, and so is accountability. Some of these fraud allegations, as I understand, have been circulating in Minnesota for years. At what point did you hear of some of these issues?
Well, we heard about these issues a couple of years ago, especially back in the 23 session when they had the DFL trifecta. They were not having hearings in committees on issues that were red flags. Leadership at that point was not interested in having the Office of Legislative Auditor come forward to us. And that is an important part of how we learn from where are there gaps in the system. Where have we seen outcomes that have not gotten to us that we have worked for since we start writing legislation that wants to help people, but when you don't set up the right guardrails, this is a major issue for us. So we've seen it a couple years ago. In fact, just last year, then in 2025, our House file number one, when we have a majority in the Minnesota House, our number one goal was fraud. And the DFLers in the House did not allow that vote to take place. We tried it on one of the first days in session and the last days in session, and yet they would not have it. I was shocked that Governor Walz didn't call House leadership to say, what are you doing over there after it passed super bipartisanly in the Minnesota Senate?
And if these allegations are true, as the investigation will find, as it looks into all of the accusations being made, what do you believe is the why if things were, if there was a blind eye turned?
I think that for some reason, the Democrats are so hypersensitive about trying to call out anybody that's doing something wrong, especially if they're a community of color.
No. Race is the panic button. Yes, there is a hypersensitivity of not wanting to appear racist, but they just use that as the smokescreen and the excuse. Whenever they can't engage with the argument, they just pull out the race card. Well, guess what? It's not working anymore. Nope. This Black American woman right here, I don't give a darn if you call me racist. You can call me xenophobic. You can call me any kind of phobic that you want. I ain't scared of none of y'all. Democrats hit when the facts don't cooperate. And the facts in this case are not cooperating, and neither are we. You've been stealing the money. You've been working in cahoots with this community. And we demand answers. I'm telling you guys, as dangerous as it might be, I almost want to say, do we just assemble at the nation's capital and be like, if you don't start arresting some folks, we listen. I mean, we literally cannot sit back and just rely on, I appreciate this Republican State House representative for coming on News Nation and, trying to say, we've been trying to do something and it just seems like the Democrat. Where is his righteous indignation? Where is it? Where are those thick-skinned American patriots that are like, enough is enough? Where is that? Because I hear what he is trying to say is that, well, I think, they're just so sensitive and don't want to be called racist that they just, no, I'm telling you, that's the smoke screen. They don't really believe that. This was the perfect way to hide the fraud. First of all, it's the perfect immigration scam, and it was the perfect money laundering scam because they're like, well, if they're an immigrant community, and we can use the fact that they're immigrants to hide the fact that they have clan factions within themselves. They stick together. They're all Muslim. We could get something out of this deal. I mean, it makes you wonder. It really makes you wonder. I have another clip that I want to show you guys because let me show you how CNN tried to call themselves redeeming or reclaiming investigative journalistic work. Instead of them investigating the fraud, these fools are out here investigating the investigator. That's what you're about to watch. Take a look at this.
We're from CNN. Can we talk to you?
This is MAGA YouTuber Nick Shirley. Back at a daycare in Minnesota, he alleged was a fraudulent facility in a now viral video.
People are going to say this is a left or right issue, but no, fraud is fraud. And so I'm not out here trying to put a twist on things.
Shirley's viral video, released over the weekend, in which he says he's uncovering tens of millions of dollars in fraud at Minneapolis daycares run by the Somali community, was retweeted by Elon Musk and Vice President J.D. Vance. In the video, Shirley tries to open locked doors and talk to people at various daycares he claims are frauds.
Did you come during their normal operating hours when you came to visit?
I came at 11 a.m., I believe, and I also came the following day later in the day. The point of it is not whether or not I came at the right time of their operation hours. The point is that blacked out doors, they can't give you any information. You call that number, no one answers. I wasn't trying to go inside, and there should be a way for somebody to actually be able to call that number and somebody to be able to answer. These aren't real businesses.
But surely you don't think a daycare should just be unlocked. You shouldn't be able to just walk into a daycare.
You see how dumb this question is? She's trying to deflect. Obviously, for safety reasons, most daycares don't just let anybody in. However, if someone comes to the door, they normally will have a front desk, or you can ring the intercom. He could be a new prospective parent. It doesn't matter. Why are you investigating the investigator? Why are you not asking, why are these windows blacked out? Why are there no children? Why is it when you saw my 45-minute video, whenever I try to engage and talk with these people, they try to shoo fly, don't bother me? I literally said, I'm trying to get some information to enroll my son in daycare, and they were like, go away. Not today. Come back later. Did they watch? Did they watch his video? Or are they here just trying to communicate to their brain dead audience that, hey, ain't nothing to see here? No, investigate the investigator, not your tax dollars at work or not working.
Be a reception.
No, every daycare is locked.
Their doors are locked.
And so, okay, you bring up a fair point. Then why can't they actually give me information how to enroll a child?
Federal law enforcement has been investigating fraud in Minnesota for several years. Both Attorney General Pam Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel said on social media they've indicted dozens of defendants. DHS has posted multiple videos of agents they say are conducting a massive fraud investigation.
Do you think that federal law enforcement hasn't done enough? I mean, they would say, look, these fraud cases have been going on, but they've already done like 80 indictments. The cases have been going on.
So there's more. They're slipping on their job. They're slipping, obviously, because he's a YouTuber and he went to several that were obviously fraudulent, but you don't seem to care about those. Y'all, when you listen, I'm gonna let it play some more. This part, this gonna make you real hot.
You know, for years.
And why did I show up one day in Minnesota and go to all these daycares, no children, they're receiving millions of dollars. We uncovered nearly $110 million in fraud in one day.
How do you know that all the allegations that you're making are true?
How do I know that they're true? Well, we showed you guys what was happening, and then you guys can go ahead and make your own analysis.
Because he has eyes, and we have eyes. Now, notice how Nick says, listen, I uncovered it. Do your own analysis. This is what CNN calls doing journalistic investigative work. Look at this foolishness.
So we can make our own analysis. Are you 100% sure you're true?
Yeah, I am 100% sure I'm true.
CNN is looking into Shirley's claims.
Hi, my name's Whitney Wild. I'm a correspondent for CNN.
We reached out to several of the daycares featured in the now viral video. Only one daycare facility answered and said they are a legitimate business.
Have you seen the videos, purporting that some of these daycares...
Who does investigative work like this? First of all, she identifies herself as a CNN correspondent. And then she's basically like, hey, is your business fraudulent? Are they supposed to be like, Why, yes, last year we took $1.3 million in federal funding, but we've basically been, some of that money is underneath our mattress. And then a little bit, my cousin over in Somalia, we sent his dusty foot some. And then the rest of it, I mean, we just squandered it and bought. Like, is that what she was expecting to see or hear? This is insane. The fact that CNN showed this, they should be embarrassed. This is why ain't nobody watching that stupid brain dead network. Because, hey, I'm a CNN correspondent, and we're just trying to see if you have a legitimate business. And out of all of the ones they called, only one answered, and they answered in the affirmative that their business was legit. Well, of course they're supposed to say that, stupid.
Don't have kids inside.
Minnesota Republicans say despite the new focus from the Trump administration, they have been sounding the alarm on fraud for years.
We have talked about fraud. We have gotten stories. We've tried to push this forward every way that we can.
At the daycare where Shirley showed back up, a stream of children walk inside.
You're saying that this is a fraudulent daycare. There's kids being dropped off right now.
Yes, the Commissioner of Children literally said a week ago this place was closed.
Did you know
They're
that?
showing face right now.
A viral video, disputed claims, and their full fallout remains to be seen.
Dozens of fraud cases that DOJ is touting began during the Biden administration. Back in 2022, the U.S. Attorney's Office for Minnesota announced 47 indictments for this massive fraud scheme. Since then, they've indicted more than 30 more people, and in total, they have secured at least 56 convictions.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this comment. Retired childcare owner here. Anyone looking knows that those warehouses are not childcare centers. Thank you. Didn't I tell y'all yesterday, daycare centers are highly regulated? These buildings don't even qualify for that class of business because there's no place for the children to play. And this is industrial. This is an industrial park. Daycares are not in industrial parks. You might have them in a strip mall, a standalone building, but not in an industrial park. It's just not going to happen. Especially, it really depends on what other kinds of businesses are in that immediate area. That was the first telltale. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, why is it that, and I'm going to be incredibly critical of these Republican lawmakers here in Minnesota. Why is it that a YouTuber did what you could have done? Why you didn't leave your cushiony office from the Capitol and go do some due diligence? We've been sounding the alarm on this fraud for years. Have you? Because it didn't really seem that much of a priority when the guy who was with Nick Shirley said he's been tracking this for over 5 years. He's been keeping detailed records. He has somebody at the state level giving him the amount of money that each of these centers get every year. And you mean to tell me a regular private citizen did more uncovering than you as a lawmaker? What the heck we need you for? Why are you a legislator? What purpose do you serve just sitting there shuffling papers when you could have easily done this as a lawmaker yourself? And then the CNN reporter, her whole thing is like, well, I mean, are you like sure that this fraud happening here? She never asked, wonder where did the money go? Why were the centers closed the day you showed up, right? They're just making up every excuse in the world except the obvious. Why were investigations stopped? Why is it that so many with these daycares had the same address and no one has ever seen any children until yesterday? So instead of that, they asked, well, are you sure? Like, are you sure that you're right? That's not journalism. That's defense counsel. And then notice the framing. They keep calling Nick Shirley a MAGA YouTuber. I'm telling, this is how they do you, y'all. It's a smear. That's not a descriptor. That title was to shame him and to alert anybody watching. Oh, don't trust him. He's a MAGA supporter. Well, so am I. Make America great again. And the way we're going to do that is by uncovering fraud like this and then being real loud about it. Because the goal of them addressing Nick that way was to shame him and to instill fear so that he'll remain silent. Y'all, but Nick is a hero. This is a hero right here, just an everyday, ordinary citizen. He's brave. He's willing to risk his life to let the American people know what's happening. Use his platform. Risk being deplatformed. This man should be protected, not targeted. But instead, CNN went out of their way to try to discredit him because he did their job. CNN didn't walk into any of those buildings. She called on the phone. Hey, I'm a correspondent from CNN. They didn't knock on any of those doors. They didn't go look and see for themselves. They didn't ask any of those questions. A private citizen did. And that's what embarrassed them. And they made it worse by doing this whole news segment. That's what they did. Now, I wanted y'all to take a look. Did y'all see the segment right here where they all of a sudden were dropping off the kids? Let me see if it's
Whitney
gonna...
Wild.
Is it here? Hold on. Yeah, we don't need this whole clip. It was the segment right here where all of a sudden the cars just drove up and now they're dropping off kids.
All the allegations that you're making.
They did that on purpose. That was the part where they want you to turn off your brain. Like, because we were told by a regulator, a state regulator, that the daycare was closed and that no children were present. The state confirmed that. Nick Shirley also confirmed that as well. His video goes viral, and then magically, vans of parents show up and kids just appear overnight. And the cameras roll like, hey, you think that was a coincidence? No. These people went and they sent out the bat signal and they immediately mobilized. This is how subsidy fraud works. The parents are called in when they need some visibility. The parents are called in and they stage attendance. Then there's this whole fake paper trail that's manufactured, and photos and videos are submitted, and all of this is done so that the money just keeps flowing. And that is why them pausing the payments, that ain't enough. I'm not satisfied with just paused payments. Nope, because evidence can be staged when the community is financially incentivized to do so. They'll figure out a way to stage it. Now, sadly, these Somalians weren't even that good at it. I'm gonna show you this video clip. This video clip is some nasty work. Oh, it is some nasty work. Matter of fact, let me just cue it up right now. I've got so many of these things saved on Twitter. Here is, I'm gonna show you this video. This is this is a Somali daycare manager who speaks to the media after his business was allegedly broken into. He claims that student enrollment and employee documentation was stolen. Let's go ahead and take a listen to this.
Unfortunately, we saw that there was important documentation, enrollment of the children, and also employee documentation that was gone. There were also...
Look at Becky in the back. I just want to slap her. I know she's getting a check out of this somewhere, just standing there holding a sign. This is supposed to be the daycare center owner. Y'all, he looked like he ain't but 12 himself. Y'all really expect me to believe that he owns this daycare? This articulate, strapping specimen of a man? Do you think he owns this daycare? Let him finish. I'm sorry, y'all.
Checkbooks that were ripped from our check papers that were ripped from our book. This is devastating news, and we don't know why this is targeting our Somali community, as one video made by a specific individual made this all happen. We've been receiving hateful messages through our voice notes threatening us since the past couple of days, including one that happened yesterday morning when after the break-in. This is frightening and exhausting. because this is happening to us Somali communities as Somali Americans.
Y'all gonna have to get some better Somalian actors. This guy right here, his audition it does not pass the sniff test. I do not believe that this dude owns this daycare. And I don't buy his story. I'm sorry. I don't. You got to show me a little bit more evidence than this. He alleges that because of Nick Shirley's expose that somebody broke into his daycare and stole all of the childcare records, and a checkbook or pages out checkbooks was stolen. Who breaks into a daycare and steals attendance records? This is the cover story to support why they don't have attendance records. But nobody broke in and stole this stuff. It gets worse, y'all. I'm going to let them finish, and then I'm going to show you how it gets worse.
We are supposed to stand with each other and help each other through everything that's happening. This is also sad that a video can cause all of this. I want to say that there are hundreds of daycares out there, Somali daycares that are out there, and we all help our children and everyone in our community. We have high quality daycares, and this is very sad news that one individual who made a false claim about fraud that is happening in the daycares engaged everyone else to come and do this to us.
So now they the victim. Been stealing my money, and now you the victim. Unbelievable. Hold up. Here's another video.
Daycare through cinder blocks of what they say vandals did. Now, this is where they say the vandals got into the daycare through cinder block and appeared to be unsuccessful when trying many other ways. The daycare says it appears the vandals first tried to saw into the door of the Family Dollar next door in the shopping center, but that didn't work. The manager claims those who broke in went straight to the office, stealing information of the many children who were taken care of here.
We are not a part of any harmful things that are being said. We have no problem with CCAP, and our licensing has been good, even the inspections. I want to say no intimidation is going to stop us.
Of what they say vandals did. Now, this is where they say
Y'all, the Somali daycare who falsely claimed that someone broke in and stole their student enrollment documents are now showing off where the burglar entered. Unfortunately for them, though, the cuts in the sheetrock seem to have been made on the inside. Total clown show. Y'all, so now it's just a coincidence. One video, and now somebody they want to break in. Is that it? Is that what happened? It gets worse. Y'all, it gets worse. Let me get to these super chats before I get to this next one. Oh, y'all are the best live stream on this side of the YouTube suburbs. Let me get to this super chat. Shout out to Midlife Secrets. Tell the truth and shame the devil. Thank you so much, beautiful, for your support tonight. Listen, if you got Midlife Secrets, I need to check out your channel because I need all of the tea spillage I can get. Thank you for supporting the live stream tonight. Lisa M, hey gorgeous. April, your commentary is a breath of fresh air. Keep doing God's work, my friend. Happy blessed New Year. Happy New Year to you as well, you guys. 2026, the future looks bright. God has been good. We have so much to be thankful for. And I'm so glad that you find value here and you appreciate my commentary. Y'all know, listen, some of these stories I take personal because it's something about when you lie to the weak, you're just like, oh, well, it is what it is. But when you lie to the strong, the fury that we unleash on you, you don't want to be nowhere near. And that's how I feel when stories like this hit the news. And I'm so impassioned about it because I know what it's like to experience just a piece of the American dream. It's not every day that a little Black girl from the Bronx, from a single parent home, gets the blessed opportunity to move from where I grew up, come down to the South, meet a great guy, get married, have kids. And when I say we started a small business with no government help, we've never had a loan from the SBA. We've never had a grant from some community nonprofit. It was American blood, sweat, and tears. My husband had a vision and we didn't start out with the vision of wanting a furniture store, but we saw a need in the market during a time during Obama's recession where people were broke, they ain't have no money, and the Craigslist offer up world was really, really popular during this time. And my husband had bought plenty of things off of Craigslist. I'll never forget, we had just started, our kids were really, really small, and he would buy stuff off of Craigslist all the time. And one day we were driving, and he saw this guy with a mattress. Y'all seen it before. You see the mattress strapped on top of a car. And we were driving. My husband was like, isn't there somebody he could have called for that? And I'm just like, well, if he didn't have a way to pick it up, then probably not. And my husband's wheels, the way his brain works, he got to thinking. And he was like, there's got to be a service like that. And I was like, well, I know if you have junk, like you could call like 1-800-GOT-JUNK, but like if you just buy something new, like what if the store doesn't offer a delivery service? And that's when my husband got the bright idea to start our first business, and it was called Pick It Up Express. And we started that business with the little bit of money. Like when I say we have no money, we started with our Suburban and a trailer. And that business took off. And from there, my husband, in his brain power, discovered another business out of that business. So basically, you would hire us if you bought something off Craigslist, or if you bought something from, say, Home Goods, and you didn't have a way to get it home, you would book online with us. We'd pick it up, deliver it for a fee. Well, what we noticed, there was this other niche within that niche. There were people who we would deliver their stuff for a fee, and when we'd get to the house, they'd have a whole sectional, and they were like, can you take this off our hands? And my husband be like, what, this right here? They're like, yeah. I want to, you brought the new one. I don't have a place to put it. Nothing wrong with the sectional. My husband starts coming home with furniture, and eventually we didn't have room to park our cars in the garage. Actually, we had one car, but we didn't have room to park it in the garage. So he started taking the stuff that he would retrieve out of the customers' homes, clean it up, put it back on Craigslist, and sell it for a profit. That's how we got into the furniture business. That is called the American dream. We lived it. And for 11 years, we proudly owned a business in Rockdale County, serving customers, selling furniture, learning that business, like with no experience, no family lineage in the furniture industry, was incredibly successful, and then had to make the unfortunate decision during Biden's economy, like, are we going to weather this storm, or are we going to cut our losses? But God was gracious to us. 11 years with no government help. And then to see immigrants come over here and use my money to enrich themselves with a fake business when I had to run and jump through all kinds of regulatory hoops just to put a sign up, just to get a business license. Just, if you knew the things that small business owners had to go through just to stay open, because leftist policies don't really believe in economic growth and small business support. They figure out ways to keep you from being successful. And so, yeah, this is absolutely personal for me. So a lot of that passion that you hear from me, it comes from the fact that I know what it's like to live the American dream and to build something with blood, sweat, and tears. And just to see it dissipate in the air, and then to see somebody else come along and squander your money. Don't feel sorry for me, but understand there are so many stories like mine, generations of Americans who owned businesses. And due to leftist progressive policies, they're either run out of business or find it difficult to sustain their business, can't get a small business loan because of this one little thing, and then they over here just taking your money. I don't want a handout, never did. Just give me my money. That's all I care about. So thank you for that. I didn't mean to go off on a tangent like that, but y'all don't know. I'll take this very personal. And shoot, if y'all better not sleep, don't let me find out this happening in my state. I'll roll up there in a minute. I sure will. Speaking of which, I think I got some daycare centers I might want to snake out. Just saying. Thank you, Radiant Shade. I love your podcast, April. Have a blessed 2026. To God be the glory. It is by God's grace. I will. As soon as I get this last 10 pounds off of me, yes, I'm going to be all light, just flying around here, doing more content. That's what I'm looking forward to in 2026. Kids are relevant. Thank you so much for this additional super chat. I really do appreciate your support, sis. She said, God knows them who labor for him. You are a target of the goodness of the Lord, sis, April. Thank you. You know, and I had to look at it. That was a very hard season. 2024 was a rough year for our family. And it's because we had to come to the realization that the season of us owning that local business had to come to an end because God had something better for us. But sometimes in our flesh and in our pride, you trying to hold on to it, and all of the signs are like, there's something better. Just walk through these other open doors that I have for you. And that's what I had to learn. And God worked on my husband's heart and he worked on my heart. But it was some healing that had to take place. We were very bitter and angry for a little bit. Our kids had to adjust to new life with just, all we knew was working for ourselves and being entrepreneurs. My kids had no known memory of me going to a job or their father going to a job. It was always, this is our store. I mean, I nursed my babies at that store. I did nap time at that store. I homeschooled at that store. Peanut butter and jelly and fruit snacks. And I mean, that was our life. Everybody in the community knew that we were a family-owned business. And at any given time, you might see a 2-year-old running around. Like that was our life. But we did it to the glory of God. And it was what the Lord used so that I could be with my babies and we could raise our children. And they saw us laboring as unto the Lord together. And they learned a lot during that season. But that was rough for us to be like, wait a minute. It's closed. It closed. But it's all good because God has so much more and bigger and better things in store for us. And so I have no complaints. It's all with the spirit of gratitude. But this do make me feel some sort of kind of way. It absolutely does. Now, this clip right here, this one is pure comedy, y'all. This one is pure comedy. So let me give you a little context first. Here's the context of this clip. This is a Minnesota mom who panics after seeing fraud is bad in her script. Take a listen to this.
If childcare is cut, I'm unable to work or go to school. I understand fraud is bad.
It was at this point where she realized, I done messed up. They give this woman a script to read. Did y'all catch that? Like, am I the only one that caught that? Put a 1 in the chat if you're like, oh, snap. This is what scrambling and damage control, when you're not good at it, that's what this looks like. Did y'all see that? Did y'all see that? I got to play it again. I'm sorry. I hollered so loud when I found this right before I went live. My husband was like, wait, what? He was like, play it again. I played it again. Listen to it. Hold on. This was wild, y'all. This was the prepared script that they gave the Minnesota mom.
If childcare is cut, I'm unable to work or go to school. I understand fraud is bad. If childcare is cut, I'm unable to work or go to school. I understand fraud is bad.
I'm sorry, y'all. I had to just play it twice. I just had to play it twice. What the heck was this? What was this? You guys, this system is not broken. It is working exactly as designed. Y'all, these Democrats don't govern. All they do is manage dependency. And what we're seeing is anyone who threatens that system, this is why they call you a racist. You're a xenophobe. You're a danger to democracy. You're a target. No, and it's not because you're wrong. We're not wrong. It's because what Nick Shirley did was effective. Whenever they start hurling those accusations at you, that means you right over the target. This is, I told y'all in my last live stream that the video that I was going to drop next was about the universal daycare and subsidized daycare. And I still have the video. I think I finished editing it, but I chose to drop the Kari Turner video in its place. So still sit tight for that. And that's still a very important video. But make no mistake, you guys, this scandal is not just about Minnesota. This is the beta test for universal childcare. You do understand that, right? Because this is what happens when money is detached from accountability. Oversight is called oppressive, right? So you need the universal childcare because that's how the government becomes God. And universal childcare doesn't create care. It just creates fraud and grift and more layers of bureaucracy and vulnerable children. That's what you get. The vulnerable children are used as leverage. If they can't manage oversight now, what makes you think they can be trusted with more power later? This is another reason why I am against universal government subsidized childcare. I'm going to wrap up because it's 9:24. So I've been live for like an hour and a half. This is not about Somali people. I hope y'all realize that. It's not even about immigrants. Like I am, both of my parents were born here, but my paternal grandmother is born in the Dominican Republic, came here in the 1920s. So I understand immigration and the beauty of coming to this country with just your suitcase and the clothes on your back. I know not firsthand what that is like, but I saw my grandmother came here, raised all 7, is it 7 or 9 of them? Uncle Jimmy, Aunt Bunny, Aunt Ruth, Ruby, Raymond. 7. Sorry, my father was 7 of them. They all dead now. Sadly, everybody is dead now. But I saw them come here and raise a family and work hard. So this is not about race. I am not xenophobic. This is about fraud. And do not let anyone try to make you think that this is about something else. It's about, say it with me, this is about fraud. And the reason the left is panicking is very simple. The sunlight showed up. You had Nick Shirley, a private citizen, expose what the media buried. This has been confirmed by whistleblowers, but it's been denied by the politicians. And now the propaganda machine is overheating. They sitting there like, oh Lord, what we gonna, what we gonna do? Because they know we're on to them. But no, we're not looking away. We're not looking away. We're not backing down. And we're not letting these lies replace the truth. Fraud doesn't get a protected class. I don't care what country you come from. Corruption doesn't get a moral exemption. That's not how this works. And we're not going to allow you to use these alleged children, the one that we ain't seen yet. We're not going to allow you to use them to shield criminal activity. At least I'm not. I'm going to stay on this and continue to uncover and report as more information is given, because this is just flat out trifling. What I wrote down is that I believe there is something to there's a connection between Tim Walz being tapped as the VP for Kamala Harris and all of this fraud. Somehow, some way, that money made it into the Democrat Party's coffers. It's the only thing that makes sense. Why would he just look away? That much money, $18 billion, doesn't just slip through the cracks without everybody knowing what was going on. I refuse to believe it. And so the question now becomes, will we see arrest? Are we going to see indictments? Cutting off the spigot of money is nice, but what about the money that's already been given? These people need to go to jail. I don't care what ethnicity they are. All them white Karens in the background holding the signs, if they've gotten a cut. Listen, we allowed Fani Willis to obsess and indict Donald Trump and the electors in RICO. But y'all, this is a real RICO case right here. This is so pervasive and widespread. This is a legitimate RICO case. Are we going to see some sort of RICO indictment? This is organized crime of the highest order. Every time you see Democrats do something, it's because they're guilty of it. So Fani Willis is out here prosecuting a RICO case. It's because she was already familiar with how this works. So the thing that she and these Democrats are guilty of is the very thing that they went after Donald Trump for. I believe that. So much is making sense now. So much is making sense. Anyway, today is New Year's Eve, and this should have been a nice and light, a little warm and fuzzy, little fluffy show. But this fraud, and people have been sending me examples of other fraud just like this. As a matter of fact, in Boston, I'll probably do a separate video on that so this live stream doesn't take up too much of your time. You might have New Year's Eve festivities that you want to participate in. I don't know. But I just wanted to say I thank you guys so much for all of the support you have shown me this year, how patient you are with me when I have to go out of town and I have a few days where I haven't released any content. I'm going to do better at that. As a matter of fact, I'll be out of town next week. But I've got videos that I plan on recording. Super excited about that. I am brokering and moderating a debate between Chad Jackson, Chuck Littleton, and Vince Everett Ellison. And I'm hoping you guys will tune into that. I thought we were going to do it live, but we are going to record it and then we'll release it. Everybody will probably release it on their channels. But this is going to be an amazing debate, a friendly fire, moderated discussion on just some issues, some outstanding issues or disagreements that both sides have. But it's going to be done with so much charity and respect, because all of these gentlemen absolutely do respect one another's work, and they've all equally contributed to the historical narrative and just as it relates to this political and cultural commentary. So I'm looking forward to doing that, and that'll be next week. But in the meantime, I did want to just thank you guys for your support in 2025 was an amazing year, and I'm hoping that 2026 will be even better. My book, The Red Gospel, is I did not think that I could pull this book off, but the Lord put this book in me, and it is going to be life changing. And so I hope you guys support it. It's almost done. I am going to self-publish it, but I will be doing a media campaign, and I will be all over promoting this book. And I hope you guys once the final manuscript is approved, it will be ready for pre-order, but I don't have a timeline as to when that is. But I'm working on a boatload of projects for 2026, and I hope you guys will be a part of that and just be able to celebrate along with me. So here's to 2026, to much growth, new friends, peace and blessings abound. Until next time, you guys, stand firm, stay bold, and above all else, stay unshakable. Happy New Year. Grace and peace.